what are we going to be building by the end of this section then? Well, it's going to be this bull cow word game, a fun little word game. You get to do your own ASCII art, and you're going to get to choose a length of a word that we're going to try and guess. And then we're going to go through a process something like this. We're going to have, say, 10 guesses. You can specify that as well. And it's going to be an isogram. An isogram means a word that has no repeating letters in it. So the game here is to try and think, well, what could this 5-letter word be? So we can go slope, something like that. And then it says, right, you've got 2 bulls, which means that 2 of these letters are the right letter in the right place. And one of these letters is a cow, which means it's the right letter but in the wrong place. All right, so maybe slide. Let's see what that does. Well, now 2 of the letters are the right ones in the right place, and none of them are the right letter in the wrong place. So it actually tells me something, doesn't it? It tells me, I think, that S and L are very likely there to be the correct letters in the correct place, but that IDE are wrong and OPE are wrong. But one of the OP and E is likely to be right. It's likely to be the O or the E, isn't it? So let's try Sloan. Now I get 3 bulls. That's interesting. So it looks like it's going to be... Anyway, you can see I'm failing my logic. I think it's going to be slime. Maybe slime? No? Okay, you get the idea. So a tricky, interesting game of logic where you go through and you work out what the game is, and the word is rather, and you've got to do it in less than 10 tries. So that's the final game. And if you try and put the wrong number of letters in, then it says, don't put things with repeating letters, or put the right number of letters in, or you can just keep putting like this. I don't know. First. And then you get to the end of the game and it goes, no, better luck next time. Would you like to play again with the same hidden word? Yes, and you can start again. So it could be really frustrating, could be a lot of fun as well. But that's what we're going to build. Now, why are we going to build that? Well, we're going to learn a couple of things. Firstly, we're not going to be in Unreal at all. We're going to be purely here in Visual Studio, because one of the hardest things about getting to learn Unreal is the fact you've also got to get your eye in for Visual Studio, this IDE, this integrated development environment. And if you've never seen it before, then it's quite a thing to get your head around. The only bits of it we really need to care about are 2 files. There's going to be one file called a main.cpp, C++. And what happens is we build ourselves this little console program, which we run like this, and it comes up, and it's just like an old DOS program. And your code starts running from something called the main function here. So the system calls into main, and actually the overall algorithm of our game is incredibly simple. We start off assuming that we have a flag, a boolean that says whether we want to play again or not, and then we just keep playing the intro, playing the game, and asking to play again all the time that the player wants to play again. And when they don't, we leave the application. So that is the top level algorithm for our game. Now, just to give you a quick peek behind the curtains, you can see that we're going to be using a lot of this stuff, stdcout, this type of thing here, which is going to be writing to the standard output in that console. Here is our ASCII art. Then we're going to be writing these things called methods, which we can collapse down, that basically are a way of grouping lines of code together so that we can have logical lumps, like what does it mean to play the game? What does it mean to check if a guess is valid or not? What does it mean to ask to play again? And how do you print the summary? So that's the kind of overview of the game. We will be using some type names that we're going to be making some substitutions in here for things like ftext and int32. So these aren't things that normally appear in vanilla C++, but are going to be used when we get inside Unreal. So we are, instead of using standard string, which you'll hear about later, we're going to use ftext because that's what Unreal would use, and the same with int32. So we're going to start to get used to writing Unreal terminology from the very beginning. That's one of the big advantages. You're going to learn how to write and structure very basic C++ code, and we're going to separate out the core functionality of the game that is independent of the view into a separate file. So all of this stuff here in this file is just talking to the user. It's user interaction. It's just saying, do you want to play again? What's your guess? Here's some feedback. Here's some pretty bulls and cows. But the actual logic of the game is going to be in this separate file over here. Again, we're going to be making a couple of other substitutions so that we're more like Unreal, this kind of T-map and these sort of things here. And we are going to be understanding a little bit more about how to define methods again, but also quite a few other things to do with constants like this that we use to prevent using what we call magic numbers or magic words in the code. We're going to be introducing a struct, and we're going to be using something called an if statement and various other things, some loops, etc. And the code's not going to be perfect. There's going to be some things in it that I'm going to comment on and say, well, we could do it better, we could do it worse. But by the end of it, you'll have a much better idea as to how to write basic C++ code. If you already look at this code and think, wow, I can already do all this, I'm a veteran C++ programmer, please just skip the Bull Cow game section altogether and go straight on into building Escape where we're in the Unreal Engine. But if this stuff looks like a challenge and looks interesting for you, then I look forward to seeing you in the section.